Hello everyone, it's Bernard here from the Almost Painted channel, and today I want to take a quick look at all the new detachments in the boarding action, so all the new army rules, maybe some cool strats we'll find there, some enhancements obviously, and interesting rules. Rules restrictions, they call it rules adaptations, or I mean there are rules adaptations and there are detachment boarding restrictions, so which units you can take. We'll go quickly through all the detachments, but I won't do a deep dive here. You can see it on the camera. If you find something interesting, just pause and check it out. So I'd like to make this video shorter than it necessarily needs to be. So we are starting with the Adeptus Astartes boarding strike, and what's absolutely cool is each army has at least 2 different detachments to choose from, and it's kind of necessary because they are usually quite restrictive. Although this one, and it's a common theme across other ones as well, is that there's at least one quite broad. So in this case it's the Adeptus Astartes boarding strike, and for example for your infantry you can take any infantry character as long as it doesn't have a Terminator armor, because Terminators, they have their own separate detachment, but you can take a guy with a jump pack even. It just needs to be an infantry character or even a Primarch. So yeah, you can make a boarding action with Lion L. Johnson. I think in one of the thematic missions, the narrative ones, it even you know, advise you to use Lion or Gilliman if you're into it. So this is the leader type. Usually can take 2 leaders, I think almost always. Sometimes maybe there's some restrictions they didn't thought through, because there are several mistakes. There are a lot of spelling, editing, etc. mistakes. Sometimes there are even logic mistakes. We'll talk about them, for example, next to the Aeldari. But yeah, usually you can take 2 characters and you can take then 2 enhancements, so that's cool. So that's your characters. Then you have your regular basic troops. I don't call them battle line because that's not always the case, but here's, you can include up to 3 of each of the following units. So you have like assault intercessors, blood claws, crusaders. So yeah, here it's all the battle line space marines for every faction. Obviously you are limited that all your choices need to be from the same chapter, so you can't take blood claws and crusader squad, for example. That's a no-go, but yeah, you have option. And then you can choose 5 or 10 models. If you take more than 5, you obviously split those squads, which is cool because sometimes you can only take 1 squad, so you take a bigger and it gets split, but then you only have, you know, limited special weapons or surgeons or etc. So you can take those each 3 times, so you can have 3 intercessors and 3 heavy intercessors. Well, you can't because points, but you could. Then you can include up to 1 of each, so you can take, for example, aggressors and blade guard veterans, but only 1 of each. And aggressors, for example, you can only take 3 model units, and since you can only pick them once, so that's a total of 3 aggressors, not 6. Sorry guys. And you can include up to 1 of the following units, so that means that from those 2 choices you can only pick 1 choice. These are the heavy supports like eradicators or hellblasters. Quite cool. Eradicators, I think, well, there are no vehicles here, so they lose out on their total annihilation ability, so probably hellblasters, but hellblasters also lose there for the chapter, so they don't shoot when they die, which is a bummer, but a lot of units lose different special abilities, so it's to be expected. And you can even include up to 1 of the following, and these are all jump pack units. So even though you lose fly, you can go with them through walls, and you have limited movement. It's still worth considering, because even with limited fly you go from 12 inches to 9 inches in these missions. So 9-inch movement can be very handy. So if you have cheap, you know, jump pack infantry, it's worth at least to consider. Then we have the army rule, and in this case it's units with your army with the oath of movement, retain that ability. So simple, cool, like nothing to write home about. Then each detachment has detachment rule. In this case, it's drive home the blade. Each time an adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to shoot, if one or more models in that unit are within 1 inch of an open hatchway and every model in that unit is on the same side of that hatchway, select one enemy unit on the opposite side of the hatchway, and until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have sustained hits ability while targeting that enemy unit. It's cool. There are several units that require you to be on the different sides of the hatchway. It's really simple in game. You get grip of it, and it makes perfect sense that you're shooting. For open hatchway, you do the right, and you shoot everything that's on the other side. We have 2 enhancements: adamantine mantle, subtract 1 from damage characteristics for the bearer, super good. Or clavatine reliquary. In your movement phase, each time the bearer is selected to make a normal or advanced move, if it is within 1 inch of a hatchway, it can attempt to operate that hatchway. If it does, it cannot attempt to operate a hatchway again this turn. Operating hatchways or opening the doors is super big in boarding actions. You will see that, determining games, even in our own battle reports. This ability simply allows you to open a hatchway before moving. It doesn't allow you, and I don't know if there is any rule, maybe one, that there is no rules that allow you to open mid-movement. So you have to be by the door at the beginning of a turn and you can open it and then move, which is still powerful. But yeah, it's interesting that it's very similar to the default enhancement, the boarding master or something like that. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of those. I think you can simply open the hatchway at the end of your movement. Worst case, just put your models next to it so you can't be shot at. Yeah, maybe just I'm a too simple person. I always be charging or finding ways. And each detachment has 4 stratagems. Here we have them. There are usually 1-point stratagems. I think that the GW is trying to get away from more expensive and more game-defining stratagems, although we will get several of those here. And as you can see, they're all pretty simple. They are usually, targeted, like they are made specifically for boarding actions. So there are some that only work, for example, or for a hatchway, etc. Here, for example, are some simple ones, like in the Emperor's name. If you're on an objective, either in your opponent's shooting or fight phase, you can pop up 5 up, feel no pain, as long as you're next to the objective. So that's super cool. Yeah, the other stratagems you can check for your own. Yeah, so as I mentioned, there are several detachments for Space Marines alone, for each faction in fact. So the next one is the Phobos one. Okay, with each next detachment I'll probably spend even less time. Again, I tried to make the camera as sharp as possible so you can see it all for yourself. If you're interested, just pause the video and check the rules. So the Pillion Strike Force is all those stealthy, so Phobos Marines, etc. Interestingly, you can take Kaiban Shrike here because he's a Phobos. All those different lieutenants in river armor with combi weapon, Phobos Lieutenant, Phobos Librarian, Phobos Captain, Incursor squads, Infiltrator squads, River squads, and Hound of Morkai. Hounds of Morkai are limited to only 1 squad, but you can take 10 of them, so it's like 2 squads. Interestingly, no eliminators, which sure, they would be of a limited use with all those narrow lines and tight corners, but I think it would be cool to take them. Maybe I'm speaking because I have eliminators and I don't have that many other units to make this detachment without eliminators, but again, it's an example of Games Workshop limiting the detachment, in my opinion, a little too much, so it almost seems like they're forcing your hand to buy more different stuff. Again, if you're really into boarding actions like we are actually, that's not a big deal, but it's just interesting annoyance. They also retain Oath of Moment. Some rule adaptations is obviously the River Squad loses Graph Shoot ability, and Lieutenant with Combi Bolter, he loses the evade and survive ability, which, as far as I remember, is the one that you can remove him and place him anywhere. All units lose those abilities. Also, all units lose scout moves. If your unit has infiltration, he instead gets somewhat scout move, like pre-game scout move. I mean, scout move is pre-game, I believe, but you can place them 6 inches from your starting place. So yeah, there are a lot of mobility type adaptations. Their detachment rule is relentless salvos, so they are eligible to shoot in a turn in which they advanced or, more importantly, fell back. This is nice. There is also enhancement for your warlord, or for your character to charge in a turn in which it advanced, so it's cool, but again, you're quite limited in your characters. Epic heroes can't take them, so Kaivan Shrike unfortunately can't access it. And some simple stratagems. Yeah. There are some, like for 1 CP you have devastating wounds, which is, this is the cool thing with those stratagems. They would never add this stratagem to the whole Space Marine army because, not for 1 CP. Or I think that there is one in the Salamander's detachment when you can give the torrent weapons and meta weapons, I believe, devastating wounds, but it costs 2 CP. It's again very limited. Here it costs just 1 CP because they know which units you can take, so it's much more fitting with the... It's better, in my opinion, balanced because of the rule limits, so that's cool. Yeah, and final, the most interesting detachment for Space Marines, in my opinion, or at least the most iconic, is the Terminator Assault. Here you can go ham with all those different Terminators, and here are actually some cool rules adaptations, so not only limits, but Terminator Assault Squad and Terminator Squad, they can perform secure sight, which means that they are basically a battle line in this detachment. You can take each Terminator Squad twice, but usually you can take up to 10 models, so you will be more often limited by the points rather than, simply the slots. Their detachment rule is Sacred Oath. I believe it's very similar to the Space Marine First Company detachment from the regular codex. So for 1 turn, your Oath of Moment also gives you the ability to reroll the wound roll, which can be very, very brutal when you're fighting against an army that has, for example, 2 units, and you use this ability to completely delete one of those units delete. So super cool. Yeah, the enhancements there are like okay. Yeah. From the stratagems, the interesting one I think is the Focusing Shrine, which allows you, which again simply shows how maneuverability is limited in boarding actions, because this is a stratagem for 1 CP, allows you to be placed within 6 inches of your opponent instead of 9. So again, not as powerful as being 3 inches from your opponent, and you still can't charge. So yeah, and interesting. Yeah, I also like the Carve a Path stratagem, but it's only for your Terminator Assault Squad, which still didn't get the redesign. Yeah, but they can basically charge for a closed hatchway, which is amazing in this game. Super cool ability. Okay, now we get to Adeptus Custodes. They have quite okay detachments. I believe they have 2 only. Black Sheep Guardians. Do they get 3rd? No, so they have only 2. 1 Combined Arms, 1 Sisters of Silent. I think that they are pretty cool for boarding actions. They are expensive, but they can go in small unit sizes, so you can still field several. And this one is really great because you get access to Sisters of Silence, up to 10 models, so 2 squads, even though you can only take each of them once. and you know, with battle line keyword, the sisters are great to simply holding objectives while the rest of your army moves forward. Interestingly, adeptus custodes, even the models with battle line keyword, they can't perform secure site tactical maneuvers, so they can't, you know, stick the objectives. That's what the sisters are for. But on the other hand, the enhancements, for example, and their detachment rule, it focuses on giving them more contesting power, you know, so they can easily take the objectives. They are quite bad at holding them, but they can access the Sisters of Silent, which in my opinion are one of the better units in the game for holding objectives. Yeah, you can either take the I believe it's the Prosecutors, the regular sisters, or you can take Witch Seekers, so the Flamer sisters, for some stronger Overwatch. Yeah, but their detachment rule is super it's crazy cool. It's overwhelming magnificence. It reduces an enemy objective control. I mean, you need to be with engagement range, but you simply charge into something, you reduce their OC. You can reduce it to 0, I believe, and then you have high OC yourself. The stratagems are okay, but not really outstanding, I think. Yeah, but for the enhancements, I would almost always take Void Strider plus 2 inches to bearer's movement characteristic. It's super cool. It's small game, so you don't really need high objective control for your character. You will simply kill everything and yeah, enjoy. Oh, also the army rule, the martial kata, it's even more limited than in the current book, so yeah. Yeah, then there's the Sister of Silent detachment. It's okay. I mean, it's quite nice, thematic. You can, I mean, you're simply limited by the choice, but since it's a 500 point game, I think it could be one of the more interesting fluffy one in terms of you know, narrative things. Again, I hope you can see clearly the rules. So there are 2 adeptus mechanicus. One is electromartyrs. So this is focused on, interestingly, the electric priests and Skitari, and the other one is solely Skitari. Well, actually we get 3. So I guess that electromartyrs are the combined arms one. I think overall these are quite decent rules for adeptus mechanicus. Their army rule is just simplified version of their own rule, so at the start of the battle round, select one of the following weapon abilities. Until the end of the battle, ranged weapons equipped by all models in your army gain this ability. I think it's cool because it's either assault, ignores cover, pistol. It's a little you know, toned down version, but it's also simplified and the rules are good. Like ignores cover, super good in boarding actions because it's very easy to get cover if you get stuck in fighting. Pistol, so you can shoot with all your different weapons, and assault in the first turn to simply advance and shoot. Really nice. Yeah, and the detachment rule allows you basically to overcharge all your weapons, so you improve the AP in the cost of having it be hazardous. But still, I think there are use cases with it when it will be useful. Yeah, the remote lockdown enhancement is also quite nice because it allows you to close or prevent hatchway from being open each turn, which is nice. You see that your opponent is, you know, going around in you know, pincer maneuver, and you simply lock a door 9 inches away from you. Quite nice. Yeah, their stratagems are also quite decent. Targets. Yeah, I think it's a decent rule. The response clad is for Skitari only. The previous one, you can at least take, you know, you can still make it mostly Skitari, but you can add some additional flavor. So I think this is the go-to simply for the choice. But if you have a lot of Skitari and you like infiltrators and rust stalkers, you can take this one. Yeah, this one also has a quite nice simple detachment rule. You just at the start of your turn you choose either rerolls in shooting or rerolls in melee. Quite yeah, I think it's decent. Okay, the next one, it's the machine called Cult, and as the title suggests, it's for the, well, Cult Mechanicus. Yeah, your tech priests and electro priests are better, and you can take Cataphront breachers or destroyers. It's okay. But yeah, I would still go with the first one just to add some Skitari to it. Okay, adepta sororitas. This I think is a very nice one. This is the combined arms. You can take a lot of different units. Obviously, you have some restrictions. While splitting your squads, you need to remember in which you put your cherub, but that's okay because you have a cherub token. The army rules, the minor miracles. This is a nice, I think, adaptation, because you get less miracle dice overall for the game, but always you add +1 to them, so it's easier to get better miracles. So you trade quantity for quality. I think it's sweet. Detachment rule is also surprisingly powerful, because while your units are on objective, they get 4+ invulnerable save. And if you perform the sticky objective, you get 3+ invulnerable save. Yeah, and it's against all attacks. So even if you get charged by the most powerful, melee army in the game, you have 4 or 3 up invulnerable save, which is really, really sweet. Their stratagems are also super cool in my opinion, because most of them, I think 3 or 4, get the ability to spend a miracle die to make the stratagem better. For example, the Final Testament is simply fight when killed, which is good, for example, for your Arc of Flagellants or whatever. But if you fight on a 4-up. If you discard a miracle dice, you get +1, so you fight on a 3-up. So that's kind of or you can have rerolls in shooting. You have rerolls of 1, you spend a miracle die, you have rerolls of everything. So that kind of thing. The next one is it's weird, like penitent and pilgrims, and I don't know which of them are penitents and which of them are pilgrims. I guess the only pilgrim is the Ministorum priest you can take. You can take 2 of those actually. And remember that the new priest can be the guys with the flamer eviscerator, so that's cool. And then you can only take Arc of Flagellants and Repentia squads, which is hilarious. You still get minor miracles, and your detachment rule is bloody redemption. And in each turn for the first destroyed unit, you automatically get 6 instead of rolling for it. Yeah, it's cool, I guess. Your priest can get an enhancement to secure objectives, or you can give him 4-up Feel No Pain. I don't think the 4-up Feel No Pain is really worth it. Some interesting stratagems that are really like Corn Demons or Berserkers ones, like Slick with Gore. The first time one of your units destroys an enemy, it basically gets so drenched in blood that it's scary until the end of the game, I believe. Yeah, until the end of the battle. Your unit is Slick with Gore. It's I don't know, it's kinda cute and interesting, it would be nice probably to play it as a fun game with beer and chips. Okay, now we get to the elves, and the combined arms detachment, the Kain's arrow, is kinda combined arms, but for the elites, like for the different shrines, for the different aspect warriors, and it's cool, but I wish I could take aspect warriors and guardians. That would be great, because as far as I remember, we will see it in a moment, you can only take dire avengers and guardians. Just, yeah, whatever. But here you have all those different aspect warriors, so you can take, for example, your howling banshees and striking scorpions, and you can even take one of the Phoenix Lords. However, the Phoenix Lords have a restriction that they can only be included in the game if you have one of the units it can normally be attached to. So when you have Maugan Ra, he has asterisks that you can only take him if you can take a unit he would be able to join. And you look through the units, and you look at his datasheet. He can only join Dire Avengers, which you cannot take here. So I don't know why they even bothered naming him here. Like, this is one of those editing team not really paying attention, I guess. Yeah, all the Eldars in different detachments, they get the army rule Seer's Guidance, so instead of Strands of Fate, simply once per battle round they get free command reroll, which I think is also nice. It's a very simple version. Yeah. Okay, so Aeldari actually get the Great Detachment rule. Very powerful, typical Aeldari. They can operate hatchway at any point in their movement phase. So this is actually crazy good. They, however, pay for it, reducing their movement by 2. But considering the Eldars, they have 8 inches of movement, I believe now, or maybe 7. That's still like almost nothing for a crazy good rule that even some enhancement can't provide. And it's for each Aeldari unit, so it's great. Void goes, it's simply -1 to hit, so again, typical Aeldari. Okay, and for 1 CP they can auto-secure objective and increase objective control. If you are struggling for one, it's super cool. Yeah, reroll 2 hits for Howling Banshees or Striking Scorpions, and for the shooting ones you have +1 to wound. Quite strong detachment, but again quite limited. I would love, for example, to take Maugun Ras simply because he has a new model, but I can't because, yeah, so it's, I guess, Dire Avengers, Howling Banshees, Striking Scorpions for me. Obviously the Warp Spiders that you can take, they lose the flicker jump, so like no surprise there. Then we have Protector Host. This is one with the different guardians, and you can only take Dire Avengers here. It's a cool it's a cool detachment. For the militia type, they have +1 to armor saves next to an objective. I think the previous one is so much better. Yeah, the one enhancement is the bearer can reroll hits, wounds, and damage of 1. Maybe nice, you can take Autarch there. Or you can set two squad of guardians in your deployment zone. Yeah, like the enhancements are free, you need to remember that, so I guess it can be useful because the guardians, they are splitting. Many basic units like gowns or cultists, they do not split, guardians do, so one of the units will have 6 models with the weapon platform. Again, Void goes, so -1 to hit. Yeah. It's like okay detachment, but very guardian heavy. Then we have one of my favorite ones, the Raids of the Void. So basically Raveguard, Raveguard, Raveguard and Spirit Seer. No other choices here. Yeah, the Spirit Seer loses Tears of Isha ability. I believe it, I don't know if it restores wounds or whole models. And the Raveguard unit, so the only shooty one, loses the War Construct ability. It allows them to shoot when they are targeted. Yeah, it may be a little too much in small point games. But about the Tears of Aisha ability, you can get enhancement Song of Renewal. In your command phase, the bearer can use the enhancement. If it does, select one friendly Rave Construct unit within 6 inches and restore one Rave Construct to one model. You can only use it twice per game, which I think is a good, you know, balancing act. I think it should be more often used in the regular Warhammer where it's only once per game or every turn. Twice per game, I think it's still cool. You can use it when really necessary. Also, Rave marked. In your command phase, you can select Aeldari unit from your army. Okay, so this is interesting one because you can secure site with your Raveguard, quite powerful, but you have to pass a leadership test with -2 to it, so you're risking having battle shocked units. There was ability, I believe, to open hatchway in shooting. Yeah, I think that they are quite it's quite powerful, the detachment, all things considered. And the one I really want to field on this channel, and probably at one point I will, Star Dancer Mask, so simply the harlequins. You can include older infantry units, including Solitaire. However, if you include Solitaire, you can only have him, not the other characters, so no 2 characters. He can't take enhancements, obviously, he's an epic hero. I don't think he's worth it because he loses Blitz and Blur of Movement, so all of his ability. He's still super fast, quite powerful in fighting, but yeah, I think taking 2 other characters for the enhancement, at least it's no-brainer. Army rule is still free command reroll, and the detachment ability is Fight on Death. Yeah, on a free app, so quite good considering most of your army will be melee oriented. Yeah, still Void Ghosts, so that -1 to hit, I mean. Yeah, it's D plus. Okay, this is powerful stratagem, the Serpent Strike. It allows them to consolidate instead of 3 inches, D3 plus 3, which may seem like, well, most of armies get 6-inch consolidation. True, but in boarding actions you can't usually consolidate onto an objective. This allows you to consolidate into any direction, which may be one of the more significant stratagems in the entire game. It's only 1 CP, it's, well, you have to kill a unit first, but still very powerful one. Okay, and I think the most crucial stratagems that made me consider fielding this one is darting strikes. In your fight phase, one Aeldari unit that was not selected previously to fight, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the wound roll. Why is it cool? Because Troop Master can give his unit devastating wounds, and you can give him enhancement that he can for free give his rule to a unit each command phase. I mean each phase for free again. So every turn he just picks a different troop unit and give them devastating wounds, and then for 1 CP you can reroll the wound roll. So they can actually tear through a lot of enemies. They are super fast, they have 8 inches of movement. You can take the Death Jester just for laughs. Yeah, quite powerful. I'm absolutely loving the idea of fielding harlequins. Now we have Agents of the Imperium. It's interesting because it's like not that exciting one, even though they have the most boarding actions prepared units, like the Breacher team, Voidsman at Arms, Rogue Trader. I mean, they're quite cool. Yeah. They can immediately secure site. This is actually quite powerful. And then move the 6 inches after doing. It's actually quite powerful. Yeah, I mean, you can check them for yourself. I'm honestly not that into Agents of the Imperium now. The codex really disappointed me, so for now I'll just let you guys decide. Okay, Astra Militarum. This one is cool. The army rule is direct orders, so it's basically your voice of command, plus you can target any unit. You don't need to keep track of the keywords. That's cool. The detachment rule allows you to shoot through your own squads, which will be handy if you field a lot of bodies, and you probably will because they are quite cheap. Yeah, I think they are quite decent. The against the odds stratagem is really fitting, like really against the odds, because on a critical wound only, but you improve the armor penetration of the attack by 2, so it suddenly becomes quite dangerous. Rigged blind grenades is also quite nice enhancement. Once per battle, when an enemy opens a hatchway anywhere on the board, if the bearers on the battlefield, it can use this enhancement. On the 2-up, the enemy is automatically battle shocked. So quite decent there. You can take Kasserkin, you can take Bulgrim, different squads, really nice. And then you have the Tempestus boarding regiment. You can still take Bulgrims, which is nice. You can take Tempestus Science, Tempestus command squad, and you can add some help in form of Commissar, Ogren bodyguard, some other those. These I believe are quite powerful. Yeah, and you can still attach a loyal protector model to a command squad, even though in boarding actions you release split squads. Yeah, here they made an exception. Okay, the Dev Guard. The Dev Guard is probably one of the next boarding patrols we will field here on our channel, and I believe it will be the Vectors here. So this is the combined arms one. You have a restriction that is common in later detachments, that the combined total number of all the smaller units like Poxwalkers can't exceed your battle line troop choice, like Plague Marines in this case. This is okay. It's based on units, not models, so it's not that extremely hard, but yeah, you can't just flood the board with cultists and Poxwalkers unless you're fielding the next one, which is their detachment. The army rule Nurgle gift is simply reduced in radius, but still not that. It's still quite cool. The detachment rule kind of fixes it, because for every 7 enemy models that have been destroyed, add 2 inches to the contagion range of units from your army for all of your units. Yeah, quite cool. The stratagems are also nice. Chinks in their armor allows you to score critical hit on a 5+ instead of 6. It's nice considering all your plague weapons have little hits. Yeah, overall I will be testing it soon. Unclean Uprising, it's really fun. It's actually surprisingly powerful. It's based around Poxwalkers and obviously cultists, but you can still take, for example, Typhus and Biolorus Putrifier and Chaos Spawns. Yeah, Poxwalkers do not split to separate units. You get longer consolidation move, and you can still make consolidation move even if you can't end in engagement range of enemy models. So you can actually be super aggressive in your command phase, not command phase, in your fight phase. Yeah, I think this one is actually quite powerful, but cultists are unfortunately quite cheap. So is Typhus. So I would need to get extra Poxwalkers. I wish there were, for example, an extra Plague Marines here, at least one unit. But yeah. Also the second enhancement. The first enhancement is once per game you can bring some Poxwalkers to your unit. And the second one is on a 2-up you can secure objective immediately, which is I think super powerful. Yeah, extra CP for Poxwalkers, so nice stratagems. The final one is for Terminators, and this is the first one when I started noticing that it is extremely hard to fit in 500 points some of the models, some of the designs, and they really love Terminators here. They are super fluffy, but sometimes it's very hard to bring them all together. Yeah. The Drukhari ones are cool. Here you have limited options that you can only take more units, I believe. No, you can only take dedicated leaders if you have units. So for example, you can only take Lilith or Succubus if you have witches, because this is the combined arms. I think it's quite nice. You retain power from pain and you start with one extra pain token, and you can you get pain tokens for destroyed destroyed characters, but you can spend pain tokens to reduce stratagem cost, which is super useful. Then we have the Kabbalite Corsairs. I want to fill this one, but I think I would need extra Incubi or maybe Drazar. Yeah, so that will probably be on the channel soon. So you get one for Kabbalite Warriors, one for Witches, and one for Raks. So Drukhari actually get 4 boarding detachments, which shows that the writers, they didn't tether to, you know, popularity. They just went full on what will be fluffy. And they did it, and I love them for it. Even though I would probably never play with Painbringers. But yeah, the Genestealer cults is one of the, I'm not gonna say worst detachments, but they have the most ridiculous restrictions. Like, I wanna show you just one thing. Here you can see a family photo with Patriarch, Magus, some Aberrants, Neophytes, and Metamorphs probably. You can't put them one in one detachment because you have the combined arms doesn't allow you to take the heavily mutated ones. Then the heavily mutated ones doesn't let you take the some less mutated. You see, I'm gonna show you and you will see what I talk about. This is your homework. Make a screenshot and think about fielding this picture. Also, there's a third one that's shared between Genestealers and Tyranids. It's cool one, but again, you only have 2 units, so you will have to field a lot of Genestealers, probably, in the Brothers. I mean, it's probably also possible. I haven't checked for a long time how expensive are Genestealers, but I believe that they are cheaper now. Grey Knights. This is a spoiler. I will be fielding this detachment in a moment against Chaos Demons, so you will see it all during the game. You can check it. It's an amazing detachment in my opinion. +1 to advance and charge rolls. Really hard to actually field 500 point army. I have an idea. I will need to do some changes, but it's possible. This time I didn't even bother, I just took Kaldor Drago, Strike Squad and Brotherhood Terminator Squad. Yeah, if you control, if you target a unit next to objective with a stratagem on a 5+, you can get a CP, +1 to advance and charge, as I mentioned. The enhancements are a little boring, that's why I'm not bothering with them. Stratagems are cool. There's one amazing stratagem, it's only once per game, but either your Inceptor squad or your character can move 6 inches across the table, through the walls, through everything. And in this game it's such a rarity, they almost always remove the rules. I mean, I think they removed from all the datasheet abilities, so it's a real rarity and it's extremely powerful. Yeah, the next one is as the Death Guard detachment. It's really hard to field it. I think it's impossible actually, because you can't take Brotherhood Champion, which is quite decent. I mean, quite decent and cheap. To field anything in here, you probably need to go with Brotherhood Terminator Squad and the Chaplain, because this is the only way you can take 3 units, because everything else is just too expensive. Yeah, it's hilarious, but and their detachment rule is you can deep strike turn first, I believe, or deploy somewhere. Yeah, Heretic Astartes, this one is cool, but it's so big that I won't talk because I already feel my voice sapping down. Basically, the Chaos Space Marines army rule is that if you fail leadership test for Dark Pacts, you can no longer use Dark Pacts for that unit. Yeah, other than that, they're like Space Marines but with spikes. Yeah, also, if you, on the other hand, pass the Dark Pacts on the 9+, you get a CP. And you can take Abaddon, I believe. Yeah, you can. So quite nice. You can take the Beast Guard, which is cool. Then we have the cultist mob. You can do a screenshot here. And the Terminator / Elite one. This is cool, because a part of Terminators you can take Chosen and Chaos Spawns, so this is the easiest, I think, to field, unless you go ham and take Abaddon, and yeah, but still, this is quite fun detachment. Then we have Void Salvagers. This is the combined arms for the Leagues of Votann. You can take Broker Thunderkin. This is cool. You only can't take the vehicles and the bikes, so other than that, this is really cool. You start with extra judgment token and it just keeps on going. Like, if you destroy the unit with this judgment token, you place it on the next one. This is quite cool. Yeah, if you destroy enemy units, you can then move 3 inches and try to open a hatchway. They're surprisingly mobile for little dudes. I like this detachment. I will check it soon, but this is the detachment that I truly love. This is peak efficiency, guys. Look no further. This is peak efficiency. You just take an Einherjar champion and an Einherjar guard. Nothing more. I mean, you can take 2 Einherjar champions if you're into that. And yeah, you just take them. That's all your army. Enjoy. But you add 1 to advance and charge rolls for your Leagues of Votann, so they are actually quite faster. Decent one. Like, it's hilarious for me that you can only take angry dwarves in muscle suits, but it's probably a decent one. Okay, now we get to the Legion Demonica. I'll just show you quickly them. What I like here, and again, it shows that they are really focused on being fluffy rather than you know, tethering to players' popularity or whatever. When mastering your force, the following limitations apply. And remember, this is the combined arms. This is the one when you're Chaos Undivided one. If you include 1 or more Khorne units, you cannot include any Slaanesh units. They hate each other. Here you have represented. If you include 1 or more Nurgle units, you cannot include any Tzeentch units. So you can take several combinations, but you are limited to 2 Chaos Gods, which I think is nice. In 500 points it would be hard to bring all of them, although they are quite cheap. This is decent ability. I don't really like Soul Hunters, but which is their army rule, but overall I think it's okay. Like if you have several different gods units, you have ability to fill them. Yeah, now the Khorne one. This is the one I will be fielding. I mean, not I, Peter will be fielding, but I will be playing against today. So it's super good. It's quite cheap for them because they're 10-man squads. The Bloodletters are 120 points now. They split into 2 5-man squads. They all have deep strike. They can fight through hatches, this stratagem here. Super powerful. And they're actually glass cannons, but they also have objective secured, so they can do the action. You can, deploy them and just keep on running. You have Flesh Hounds, which have movement 12, so you're one of the fastest armies in boarding actions. You're one of the strongest hitting armies in boarding actions. You're one of the biggest in terms of quantity armies in the boarding actions. Super cool. This will be an amazing game. And if that wasn't enough, they have insubstantial entities. I need to check if, yeah, all Chaos Demons have this. This is a stratagem for 1 CP to move across the walls. So crazy powerful once per game, but super powerful, game-changing stratagem right there. Oh, and once you open a hatchway, you have +1 to charge rolls. Yeah, nice. So this is the Nurgle ones. Again, quite fun. You can take Beasts of Nurgle. This is cool, and their leader, the Spoilpox Crevener. Yeah, but Beasts of Nurgle are split to 1-man squads. Yeah, okay. The Slanesh one. Go ahead and check it. Yeah, Zinj one. And Necrons. This is the combined arms. This one is actually quite cool, but I will just go quickly. All the Necrons get the army rule transdimensional reinforcements, which basically works as once per game each unit can try to reanimate on a 5+, or if it's killed, it will reanimate in your, I believe, command phase. You can check it here. Yeah, the deranged outcast. This is cool one for all the destroyers and flayed ones. But here is the Canoptech Harvest. Absolutely love it. The stratagem I told you that I love in Chaos Demons, it works on Canoptech raids, so they can move through walls even though they lost their ability in rules adaptation. Yeah, really great detachment. Although the combined arms one is also great because you can really field so many different units, including Skopek Destroyers and Skopek Lord, who by the way takes whole entry zone because he's so big. So quite liking this one. Okay, Orks. The Ramship Riders is the one combined arms. Interestingly, you can't take Meganobs here, not even one unit, which is a sad restriction. You can take regular Nobs, but only 5 of them. Yeah, and you get Voidwa, and as it's written here, and please guys help me, because maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. The Voidwa, it writes here, as I get it, that you retain a regular Wa and gain Voidwa, like you have 2 Was, except the second Wa doesn't allow you to advance after charging. Is it that? Because from the description and that it's harder to create Wa, I would guess that their Wa simply doesn't allow them to advance and charge, and instead gives them +1 to strength attacks and 5 up invulnerable save. But as written, they get 2 Was, which is borderline amazing. Yeah, but This is the combined arms detachment. And we also have, yeah, you can check the rules. And we get also the bully boys, the captain killers. I think I'm not the only one of the best detachments in the book. Now I twisted a little the stratagem I was using liberally in the game that's available on our channel, probably there, if you're interested. But yeah, they have amazing stratagems, amazing unit roster, because you can take both mega nobs and regular nobs. So depending on points or whatever you have, the hard-hitting thick infantry or the regular guys, you can take their leaders. So war boss without mega armor, war boss in mega armor. I did just that. It's great. The only restriction is the mega nobs are in units of 3, and you can only take 2 of those units. So you can have 6 mega nobs in total in the game. And they lose cramping time, so they don't have 4-up feel no pain. But yeah, the detachment rule allows them to move through other models, including enemy models, as long as they have lower toughness, and automatically pass desperate escape tests. Quite useful. Gnasher's quick crates is one of the best enhancements in the game, as long as one of your units is not battle shocked and it's on objective 6 inches from your warlord, from the enhancement bearer in the command phase. You simply secure sight immediately. Absolutely powerful. So you can, rush to the objective and then do whatever. You will simply stick your objective. It's cool because you don't have battle line here otherwise. Yeah, teleporter is cool if you want to teleport one of your mega nob units. It's, I think, nicer than a personal teleporter. Loot on the move is the stratagem I misread, and I'm actually quite sorry because we read it again with Peter during the game, just to make sure, and I still made sure wrongly. But in your movement phase, just after your orc unit moves through hatchway, it gets +1 to the saves until the end of the turn. So it's an armor of contempt, quite good for the whole turn instead of the one phase, but it's your movement, so you won't probably use it in the shooting phase unless the enemy is overwatching. And you also can't close the hatchway till the end of the game, and I multiple times reread it that until the end of the game you have -1 AP, which was a little too good. Yeah, pile through is a great, again, stratagem. You have fight first when you open a hatchway. Why would you use it? Well, because you can advance, get to a hatchway behind which is an enemy, and then open it, and then you automatically fight, but you do not charge, so you don't get fight first. Otherwise, here you have a stratagem for that. You can advance, get to a hatchway, open it, and fight first. Super good. Pit Fighter allows your warboss models to fight after advancing or falling back. I think, yeah, after falling back, so even more useful. Cornered and Cramped. This forces your opponent to do dangerous escape test. Super cool rules. Captain Killers are really perfect detachment in my opinion, because you have not too little, not too many. You have like perfect size for and it's super thematic. I actually love them. Really, really good. Tau Empire. Interestingly, you can take up to 1 unit of crisis suits, so that's cool. Okay, Vespids, battles you... Yeah, you more or less lose Deep Strike. Okay, you can, instead of for the greater good, you get to set Overwatch in a turn in which advanced. So I think that's actually cool. It's like Tau getting back to their roots when they had a lot of Overwatch. And here, absolutely amazing. Crude Riding Party. I low-key love this. Love this detachment so much, I was considering buying the Tau, the Crude Battle Force. just for it. You can even include Krutox Rider. You can't include Krutox Rampagers, but other than that, I think that Kroots, if you bought that army box, I think that they might be perfect for a boarding action game. Buy those, how they are called, Far Stalkers? Yeah. Super cool. Okay, Thousand Suns Chosen Cabal. There's a game with this one in the game. They have the worst army rule here, honestly. Like, I know that Jeff from TTT said it's not the worst, but honestly it is. You roll a d6, on a 1 your opponent gets CP, on 6 you get CP. I think it should be 5 up, at least. But to get 5 up you need to control more objectives than your opponent. Yeah. But you get Ignore's cover for all your units. You can shoot through door. It's actually quite decent roster, but the army rule is absolutely tragic. Like the Thousand Suns history, poor Magnus. Yeah, all different. This one is for Tsangors and cultists, and there is one with Terminators and Chaos Spawns. You can have a lot of Chaos Spawns. Yeah. Okay, the Tyranid ones. These are suffering, I think, from the, adapting them from the restrictions. This one is the Tyranid warriors. Mostly your only leader is the, winged Tyranid prime. You get some warriors and up to 1 of each of the smaller guys. The biggest deal for Peter is that there are no zoanthropes. In my opinion, there aren't a lot of reasonable units, like the Hive Guard maybe not, but the Tyrant Guard. I think they should be here. Terminators are very popular in other detachments. Why Tyranids don't get to have their own heavier bugs? Here you have Boarding Swarm. You can include up to 1 of the following. You can't duplicate, but you can have Death Leaper. Death Leaper is huge. He only costs 80 points, but he's bigger than Gilliman, I believe. So he's absolutely huge model that will be towering across everything. But yeah, you can take him, Lictor, Neurolictor. Then you can take Hormagaunts, Reveners, Von Ryan Leapers. I think this is a very cute detachment. We'll probably try it with Peter. And Biotide, this is the small guys detachment. Again, only winged Tyrant Prime. And you just go with it. Yeah, and for your army rule you have Shadow in the Warp, and you ignore walls for it. So all in all, Tyranids are... It's hard to make a smaller, more elite detachment. It's more elite army list, unless you rock a lot of warriors. The World Eaters one, the Boarding Butchers, absolutely terrific detachment. I run it against Peter's Thousand Suns, and they are scary. They are super scary. Their army rule is just watered down version of the core army rule. You get 4 dice for the Blessings of Khorne instead of 8, so there is a chance that you won't get even a single double, so no blessings for you, but overall quite cute. You can obviously have only 1 blessing per turn, so a little limited. Their detachment rule is each time you select a target for a charge, it must make a battle shock test. It only says when you declare a charge and each target. So you could probably game it a little, so pick a unit so far away that you have almost no chance of making charge, like 12 inches away, just declare it, so force them to make a battle shock test and, for example, lose an objective. Yeah, so not that bad. Actually quite... Quite cool. Their stratagems aren't as super interesting, inspiring, etc. So are their enhancements. I would probably default to the close quarter killers, killer enhancements, so reroll of wounds, and just, have fun killing everything with your berserkers. It's really cool. It is. The next one is more focused on the heavy hitters, so either Terminators or 8-bound. And 8-bounds are absolutely way to go in my opinion, because they are simply faster. They can get feel no pain in the exalted 8 bound, I believe, have feel no pain, so they can have 5 up feel no pain if you roll for the blessing and have at least one double. They're also cheaper because, well, there are 3 of them instead of 5, so you can actually take them. Take more of them. That's what I meant. You can probably take 2 regular 8 bound, 1 exalted 8 bound, and fit 1 leader in there. Yeah, they also fight on death, so that's super cool. Yeah, and they can charge through closed hatchways. super cool. Yeah, really cool. I just need 8 bounds because I still don't have mine because they were so long unavailable that I simply moved on to different products. Oh, we get it. We went through all of the enhancement. I hope you have a more or less idea what do you want to play. Yeah, I think that all of them have a place. The fact that it's a smaller scale game makes it easier to make a little army with them, to tailor things more, thematically, with some more fluff. I like them. I like all of them. There isn't a single one that I hate. There are some less or more boring ones, less exciting, but overall there are many I want to try. I want to try the harlequin ones. I want to take different world eaters. I want to test votann. Obviously, the custodes. I'm just looking around to see Death Guard. Yeah, like the Tempestus Science ones. Like there are super cool things, like little things. And I know people are hating on the new combat patrol boxes, but the fact that they don't contain vehicles means that it's easier to convert the whole combat patrol into a boarding action little detachment. And for example, the sisters one is absolutely great for boarding actions. It's a box I think I need to buy, combine with what we already have behind me, and we'll have a boarding party of sisters. Yeah, okay, so enough of me rambling. It's already a little too long. So yeah, that's the boarding actions. So yeah, see you in the next game probably. Have a great one. Bye bye.